Hey guys, how's it going? Sorry it's been a while. Today I'm going to talk about a bunch of brand new titles that I have been reading, enjoying, and well, I'm going to recommend if you guys want to check them out. Huge thanks to Yenpress for sending me and constantly sending me a bunch of fantastic new titles to read. If you like these, make sure you go check them out and see what's on offer. The first title we're going to talk about is one that I did cover a few weeks ago on the channel, and that is The World's Strongest Witch. Now, this is about a young girl who is basically condemned for having a weak S-rank ability. However, in this world, people don't know what an S-rank ability is, they don't realise it's something good, but she has an ability that is basically the internet. That's right, the internet. And so she can check a guide and find out everything that needs to be done, what needs to be done, and where all the all-powerful items are. And so we basically have a cute girl doing very overpowered things in a fantasy world. Now, a lot of people looked at this and they've run out of ideas, but honestly, I found more unique stuff in this than a lot of other titles. This one knows it's a joke. This one is one of those series that knows that people are going to look at it, flip the shit, and just be like, ugh, it's rubbish. Is it the best title? No. Of course not. Is it a fun title? Yes. This is probably the most fun I've actually had in a title in a long time. There's so much charm about it. Like I said, it's a cute girl doing cute overpowered things, so if you like Bofuri, this one needs to be on your list. It's an absolutely fun title from head to toe. The next title is one that screamed shonen to me. Now, the artist was the one who did Promised Neverland, but the whole concept of everything on here was just shonen. This is Almark. Now, if you want a shonen title, this one needs to be on your list. This is about a young man who has an affinity for magic, however chooses to be a child soldier. He adores his mercenary father, who just wants the best for him and wants him to go to a peaceful southern magical school. And so he does. He goes to magical school. He goes to the North Institute for Magic and discovers things are very different to what he expected. He's got an affinity for magic and he soon has a bunch of friends and goes on magic school. Now, is this going to be the best thing of all time? No. Is it a fun read though? Yes, I quite enjoyed this one. I wouldn't say it's one of my favourites, but I wouldn't say it was something particularly bad either. It was fairly competent at what it did, and that is basically your traditional shonen-ish goes to magic school. Obviously he's a fish out of water because he's a child soldier, everyone kind of shuns him, but there's a lot of goodness in here too. It's not going to set the world on fire. In fact, I don't think any of these titles will be, but it is a fun, decent read with a shonen vibe. What more can you want? Next up is another title that I looked at and I just thought, no. I just read the synopsis for this one and was like, no. Was I changed? Was my mind changed? Well, this is Sword of the Stallion. This is about a young man who is considered one of the greatest fighters in history. He could slay dragons, he was a great mercenary. However, things changed when he'd lost his beloved. However, one day his beloved appears to him completely revived and wants him to basically save the world by seducing a princess of the neighbouring kingdom. Yeah, it's skeezy, it's very kind of wish fulfillment. I couldn't really understand whether or not I was supposed to like the protagonist. Obviously he ends up very much being a bit of a scumbag, sleeping around and stuff like that, but it very much felt like wish fulfillment, that the author was trying to write himself as an awesome position and kind of just be like, oh yeah, he does this, but he's going to fall in love and he's very dedicated to his wife who's passed away. The writing on this one was interesting because it was actually pretty decent when it came to combat and stuff like that, but overall, I bounced off this one hard. I knew just going in it wasn't going to be something that I was going to particularly enjoy, and I did try and give it my best shot, but if I'm perfectly honest, it wasn't one that I loved, but you guys might. If you, I don't know, it just didn't really appeal to me when I was reading it. I felt it was quite difficult to read. Fighting, and when it was quite, the author knows how to write. The author knows how to write, and to be fair, for this type of light novel, it was well written. I just felt that Everything about it was just unappealing. It was just kind of, yeah, I just didn't enjoy this one. The next title is Witches Can't Be Collared. Now, I had a lot of hope for this one. I'm going to be honest, I had a lot of hope for this title because the synopsis sounded really good. But this is one that, again, I think was limited due to light novels having to be the way they are. So, this is one that, it's basically a detective series. It's a detective series where the main protagonist is super good. He's a super good detective, very young. And he is basically put on an assignment in which he has to side with a bunch of witches. They're given these collars, so if they try to kill anybody, they get killed. And he's having to try and solve this murder mystery. It sounds good, but honestly, I felt I was too old for this. Yeah, I don't know what it was. For me, I just couldn't find the main character believable. And the main character was, again, a stand-in for you, the reader, to kind of be with these witch girls, and you know, you can pick all your favourite ones. The witches are kind of, they're interesting enough. A lot of the story relies on how interested you are invested in these witch girls, but it's not like, I don't know, I felt like this was like Spy Classroom, just worse, in my opinion. If I'm honest, if they put this as a genuine grizzled veteran of a guy who was kind of like, all these witches were basically started becoming his daughters kind of thing, I think I would have been invested in this. But having a 21-year-old cop who's basically the best cop around, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not believable. I mean, this is a world with witches, but you've got to have some believability in here. I don't know, the main character really pulled me out of this one, and that's a shame because it was pretty decent. I really wanted to enjoy this more than I did. And I think if it did have a few more changes, like I said, if this was more written towards being a novel and had, like I said, an aging detective who's basically adopting these witches who are basically persecuted, and then like, not everybody's a dick basically, I think this would have shone a lot better than it did. But instead, it's very hampered by having to appeal to light novel readers, by which I mean teenagers. It's very teen friendly, which is fine if you're that age, but someone who's a bit older like me, I just bounced off it. The main character was just so boring. So yeah, I've been reading a bunch of fun titles, but let me know in the comments what you have been reading. I've been reading a bunch of other stuff, including Sense of a Bookworm, Blatant Bastard, which they're going to get bigger videos eventually, but yeah, for now, let me know what you've been reading. Leave a like if you liked it, subscribe if you were fussed, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.